Welcome to Tribulation Day 89. And the world continues to spiral out of control into chaos. The one bright spot is tonight. The NFL kicks off its first round of preseason games. My boy, the Patriots, take their first step towards their fourth Super Bowl. Tom Brady. Anyway, the stock market went up about 400 or 500 points today. If you actually put your money in the stock market and you listened to my video blog from yesterday, I recommended that you invest in technology and energy, and both of those sectors in the market shot up about 5 to 7% today. So if you followed my advice, you can thank me later for the money that you made. Over in England, the riots are being squelched out. Basically England had a complete breakdown of their society, with people, running around, saying, I'm going to get what's mine. And, ultimately other people stood up and said, no, you're not. You're not taking you're not taking my stuff. So, that's the dilemma that we face. I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks, is part of the transformation, or just the getting through whatever it is that's coming and getting to something better on the other side, is us understanding, what we value in life and what our principles are. If all we value is materialistic things, houses, cars, gold, if those are the highest things in life that we value, then we're in trouble. We're doomed. But, one of the things that we should know what value we put into it is a human life. And, the simple side of that whole thing, and on one side of it is, hey, a human life is priceless. You can't measure the worth of a human life. And, that's absolutely the way to look at it. But on the other hand, you could say a human life is not priceless, something less than priceless, and in fact, some people might say it's worthless or has no value. And, when that happens, that bad things happen. But, since the dawn of time, our whole history as humans on this planet has been shaped by, what value we put on a human life. When you view life as priceless, that means you'll do anything to save a life, to keep someone alive. You'll even sacrifice your own life. And, in our society, for the most part, whether it's a child just being born premature or somebody dying at 90 years of age and they got cancer and, they're blind and deaf and got diabetes, we'll spend just tons of money on somebody to keep them alive right up to the bitter end. And, like with dogs, when they get to the end, you actually kind of put them down to put them out of their misery. And I'm not saying that's what we should do to people, but, spending a mess load of money on people at the very end, what does that do to our society? Well, one thing it's doing is it's breaking the system. And, like I said, the other side of the coin is that you view life as something less than priceless, or, worst case, as worthless. People that view life as worthless, they're basically like psychopaths or just mass murderers, The government, they view life, and I don't think they view it as priceless. The government, like when Obama drops the spy drone cruise missiles and it kills a terrorist, but then kills, 5 innocent people, some kids, that's just all collateral damage, which is something less than priceless. And the government, they even view their own people as something less than priceless, because if you look at any social model, they'll put the value of a human life, and it'll be like a bell curve where it starts off, goes up, and then goes down towards the end of life. So at some point you're at your peak value, and when you get to the end where you don't have that much value, if you're looking at it from a business perspective, it would be, why waste money on somebody? And our president even said that. He told one woman, like, maybe your grandma doesn't need the operation. She could just have a pill for the pain, and let's let her slip away. Well, you know what? Maybe he was right. Maybe not. But, it's amazing because the government seems, under Obama, they're willing to spend money on anything and everything. But, of course, when it comes to human beings, they got that bell curve. So, spending a few bucks on some old person, forget about it. And yet they'll scare everybody saying how the Republicans are taking away grandma's Social Security. They're all hypocrites, the whole system. But, throughout our history, throughout our civilization, the value of human life is kind of done on three different levels. There's how we personally view human lives. And, depending on how you view human life, that's how you'll, orchestrate your life. Like, you're not going to go around killing people if you value human life. And in fact, a lot of us believe there shouldn't be a death penalty, I don't know about that, because people that don't value human life, psychopaths like Anders Breivik, the guy that just shot 70 people in Norway, he has no value on human life. And yet in Norway, there's no death penalty, and he'll be out of jail in probably less than 20 years. So, that's just everybody with a different perspective on what life is worth. But there's also, what the government views human life, what a life is worth. And specifically in a third category is the head of governments, whether it's Hitler or, Gaddafi or Assad over there in Syria, or President Bush or Barack Obama, or, anybody. It just doesn't even matter. But when you're running a country in a position of power, if you devalue human life, that's a troubling sign. And, like Hitler, he genocided a whole race of people, the Jews, because he saw no value in them or saw them as a threat. But, that was pure evil. So, all I know is we got to figure it out, and I'll tell you, it's tricky because, like me, I turned diabetic, and I came down with a horrible illness, and I almost had my legs amputated, and I had to go into surgery, and a doctor made me sign a waiver saying, we're going to have to do all sorts of crazy stuff in there, so you may not even live, but we need you to sign the waiver just to do the operation. So, I was basically at a point of death in my life, where I could have just as easily died, and, a voice inside of me was saying, I want to live, and thank God I lived. And one thing I learned is your health is everything, because if you don't have your health, which is your life, you got nothing. So life is the most precious thing in the world. But on the other hand, it's not uncommon for me, as a diabetic, if someone's serving like ice cream and, they're like, you want some? And I'm like, yeah, I sure do. And they're like, well, isn't that bad for you? And then, you kind of look at them and you say, well, you know what? If a bowl of ice cream is going to kill me, then, I'm prepared to die. And you sit there and you eat your ice cream, because you just want to enjoy that ice cream. And all of a sudden, the value of your life is less than a bowl of ice cream. Explain that. But as complicated as it is, there is an answer. And you know what? I'm on the side of life is priceless. But that being said, we got to look at how our society is structured, and figure out how we find some kind of, I don't want to even say balance, because I think the halfway point is not where we want to be either. But, obviously there's gray areas, so we're going to have to figure that out. And we're going to have to figure that out just as civilians, because if you're running around in the streets, rioting, beating up people, possibly killing people, your value system is all screwed up. And that's what we don't want, is the whole world falling into chaos because our values are just completely, gone. So, let's think positive. Let's think about what our values are. Let's do something good for somebody, help somebody out. It's always a brighter day tomorrow. I'm going to go get my tribulation on.
Peace!